Hello, my name is John Presco, and I'm coming to you live from Spring, Kentucky. I'm getting this warning. Maybe I shouldn't let people know where I am and who I am, and people might come after me. Well, I think it's getting to be real. I think that possibility is happening. I've seen evidence of some groups that are very, very Christian, and they see themselves Christian warriors, and they're talking about, using weapons in the name of Jesus. Seen some Knight Templars posting. They're not real Knights Templars. They're parasites that have attached themselves to something they think is ultimately the most Christian thing you can title you can have, which gives other people that say they're Knights Templars the message that you're one of them and you're ready to fight. And there's many more of you. You're not alone. You don't have to make any decisions about killing fellow Americans all by yourself. You're backed up by these Knights Templars, and there's thousands of them all over America and Europe. I'm friends with a lot of them. I didn't know who they were, but now I do. They're very upset with the Democrats stealing elections, which they did not, but they want to believe it. They don't want to look at real evidence that says it was a fair election and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won. They don't want to look at that. And how we got to that point is worth talking about. This is the time to talk about it. If this conversation and YouTube was around before Hitler rose into power, and they had TVs and they had radio, it should be a study on what kind of warnings people were giving and receiving. But we are literally in the same place the Germans and ultimately Europeans and Americans found themselves in, let's say, 1937, 38, 36. We had massive amounts of people believing anything that the big boss said. And he'd put them in big arenas with mass marches, and it'd be like, 100,000, 200,000 people in these arenas. Consider Woodstock. People go there, 250,000 people, and they look around and say, wow, aren't we wonderful? This is so groovy. We sure have the right stuff. Oh, look, there's our favorite bands up there. They're like our leaders of this peace and love movement. Well, the Christian right, young ministers who came out of Bob Jones, Liberty College, and other places, were playing a numbers game. And then when the big mega church came into being, it was a real money numbers game, because there's millions and millions of big bucks to be made through the mega church. And there was a crisis going on amongst Christians that they felt, a lot of people are saying they're Christians. They don't even know the words of God. They don't read their Bible. They don't go to Bible study. They don't even talk about what knowledge they've gotten, because they're directed now to social media like Facebook and other places, Twitter, and where they look for their kind, look for people like them, so they can join those people and basically pretend they have knowledge and know things, because they repeat slogans, simple slogans. They give patriotic signs to one another. They will point out the traitors who they think they are, who are the traitors. And it kind of like looks like most of the Democrats are traitors. And that was the big trick. That's why I became a theologian in 1988, because I saw evangelicals beating up the Christian kids up in Blue River and McKinsey Bridge. I investigated. I said, well, why are they beating up on you? They said, well, they don't think we have the true message of Jesus. I said, what is that? What's the true message? These are kids, 10, 11. They didn't know what the true message was. But their ministers pointing to them, seeing those people down the road in the Christian church, don't have the true message of Jesus. Therefore, they're not on our side. So whose side are they in, children? Raise your hand. Satan's. They're on the side of Satan. You got it. That's simple. It's that simple. Then there was the Southern strategy. Wow. I think I say tragedy and strategy in one word. But the Republicans noticed that a lot of voters that actually were for them, were Christians, supposedly, were voting for the Democrats because that was what their grandfathers and great-grandfathers voted for, because the Democrats were pro-slavery. So they had to educate them. They're not hearing any lessons from Jesus or anybody, Moses, nobody. We're just hearing a game of dice. It's an evil game. They had to turn these Democrats into Republicans. And it wasn't as easy as you might think. Then they used racism that already existed. And they pointed out that Martin Luther King was a doctor of divinity, and he was a socialist, and he was gathering socialist gangs that disguised as church to take over America and become a socialist nation like the Soviet Union. So if you are a true American and want to keep Americans from becoming communist, then you have to change your party from a Democrat into a Republican. There you go. Almost there, almost there. So going to church, saluting the American flag, being loyal to your nation, be pro-capitalism, and a white man or a woman, a white woman or a white man. Because that was the easiest way to tell who was a traitor and who was not. Who was a capitalist socialist and who was a capitalist lover of their nation and the American bald eagle, and who was a secret commie that was out to destroy democracy and capitalism and turn our nation over to the Soviet and the Chinese. That's simple. I've been on the air for 9 minutes, 18 seconds, and I've just described the crisis our nation and our democracy is in. Oh, I left out somebody. I left out the racism of Donald Trump. And he gave permission for white people to be racist, to deny black people are equal, and brown people and all people of color. In fact, it's a real easy lesson. If you're a Democrat, you're not an American. And you're not of the superior race. See, white people naturally are for Jesus and church and country and capitalism. It's that easy. You don't even have to go to a Bible study group. Just look for a church with all white people and go to that church. And then start asking around, what your minister will kind of hint to you, who you should be voting for. Because he gives you the 5 dog whistles that I just given you. He says, well, I can't tell you who to vote for because they take away my tax exemption, And God and Jesus want you to have a free will, right? And so you just pray to Jesus and he'll tell you who to vote for. Got it? Okay. But remember, the bald eagle loves you because Jesus will come on the wings of a bald eagle. And the red, white, and blue is God's colors that will be flashed from heaven when he comes on his white horse with his angels with automatic weapons and machine guns and shotguns. Oh, right. Who is armed and who is not armed? That's another dog whistle. But another way to tell who's on Jesus' side and who's on Satan's side. The people on Satan's side don't have guns because they hate Jesus. Jesus loves gun lovers. See, and people that love guns are usually white people. See how easy it is to be for white people versus be for black people? Now, why do they oppose each other? Why do black people really don't want to mix and mingle with white people? Why do you think that is? Why are black people such haters? Why do they hate Jesus? Why do black people hate Jesus? Oh, you ever wonder about that? Pure racism, folks. It's exactly what Hitler did with the Jews. Exactly. It's even more obvious, more, it's more insane if you know your history, but most white people don't. They chose not to because history doesn't work for them. Secular history doesn't work for them. But the Bible does. And the Bible's not really history, it's the will of God, see? So you don't have to know anything about history. You don't have to know a thing about white history. Especially in Europe. You don't want to know anything about the European history. No. Because why? Because historians lied about why the Confederacy had seceded from the Union. It was a necessity. You could see it so clearly. The people of the North, the wrong people who were against slavery and were abolitionists, conspired to overthrow the economics of the South that they were jealous of. Capitalism was never a finer institution than, boy, I look like Robert E. Lee. Did I tell you I'm related to Robert E. Lee? Sure looks like it. Yes, white people invented capitalism. And Jesus. Jesus was a capitalist. He was like Howard Rourke. So, what was I saying? Okay, so historians from the North altered the real history of why the Confederates, the people of the South, formed a separate nation and fired on Fort Sumter. If you know the real history of that, you'll see that the Austrians were taking the lands from the Germans, and thus Hitler had to invade Austria. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get off on a tangent there? This is it. There's not much more to know about history, to know that we're on a dangerous, dangerous course. That if it doesn't stop, if the President of the United States does not stop acting like a traitor, and now he's joined by other traitors, including this guy named Buck and this Texas move, Cheney, Buck, the King Ranch, the Armstrong people that owned the biggest ranch, cattle ranch in the world. Prince, Harry and, oh my gosh. Well, you know, Harry's father, he used to go there and play polo. What was her name? So I wasn't gonna do this right now. Maybe I'll save this for the next show. So I gotta do this on my blog. But that's the ranch that Cheney came to and shot somebody in the face with a shotgun. There were some people meeting there on the King Ranch in Texas, and they were right-wing Christians, and they were allied with the right-wing Christians in England. So we'll be going there live. I'm going to blog on this, I think, if I just don't do this live. Right. I think I said what I wanted to say. Of course, the Democrats don't know any of this stuff. They don't know anything. And they believe that they're having an influence with what they do know, but there's no concordance of what they know. They're not in sync with each other. They're not a fanatical religious militia like Republican churches, and they don't know how the dialogue is getting simpler and simpler and stupider and stupider. To really, you've got flying Gestapo units, Mark IV tanks heading into Russia, believing that Woden will make the winter in Russia go away. This is lunacy, folks. This is mental illness. This is anti-intellectualism. This is anti-thinking and pro-shooting. This is murder. We're talking about murder. The Civil War was murder. Mass murder. And this is what the current President of the United States is instigating from the White House this very, very evening. It's the Voice of Poverty show. Wake up and be careful out there, you hear? You listen to the others now.